Hello. Today is September 6th, 2025. This is the first Saturday of the month of September. And this is yours truly, Arthur Denchfield, also known as Arcturos Rex and Rex Arcturos. And this is my room here in Miami. I'm before the keyboard. And before I play a few tunes, I would just like to say hello uh, and especially invite the viewer to look at Michael Matt's latest Remnant TV program where he interviews Dr. Taylor Marshall, who wrote Christian Patriot. That's the new bestseller book from Dr. Taylor Marshall, which is a call for Christendom to gather together behind Christ the King and move forward with Christ at the top and at the center of our lives. And it's a wonderful 12-step program that Dr. Taylor Marshall explains in his book called Christian Patriot. Of course, Michael Matt does a wonderful job exposing the problems of the Catholic Church as somewhat responsible for that tragic Minnesota uh, killing spree that took place recently. That's true. And I am an ex seminarian who was in the seminary before the changes happened in the Catholic Church under Vatican Council II. I highly recommend the 12-volume series by Attila Cinque Guimarães, the founder of traditioninaction.org. It's in the murky waters of Vatican II. That's an 11-volume series. It's the most extensive expose of the sham that was Vatican Council II, which Mel Gibson's dad, Hutton Gibson, correctly pointed out. I was fond of Mr. Hutton Gibson. We corresponded, and he's looking down from heaven right now, and watching the terrible crisis that the church is in, and he would agree with Elizabeth Yore that Pope Leo XIV is just Francis 2.0. And Your Holiness, if you're listening to this, you should really pay attention. I mean, many millions of traditionalist Catholics, they're beginning to look at you, Your Holiness, as a Francis 2.0. Perhaps because of your own admission to that fact and the fact that you allowed such a notoriously immoral Jesuit, Father Martin, to be seen by you in public recently, it gives a wrong idea to many, many millions of Catholics. It causes confusion. And we like to remind our viewer to see our blog, the one that we originally published in 2011. It was called, let's see, Papal 1929 Disobedience to God Leads to 2 Billion Dead. That's been changed to 8 popes disobeyed God and 3 billion died needlessly between 1929 and 2025. And then to access that blog, that 2011 blog that was upgraded a little bit in numbers, the billions come more from legalized abortions than anything else. Um, Keep in mind, China legally, I mean, in China, there are over 300 million abortions a year. In this country, some 50 million, if not more. And in Europe, you have all those countries with legal abortions. They also contribute to the total, so that the numbers of abortions are probably more than 2 billion that the UN would say has taken place. Anyway, the blog is, um, let's see, Justice for You Today. Justice for letter U. Justice for You Today. Period. Blogspot. Period. Com. Justice for You Today. Blogspot. Com slash 2011 slash 12 slash. That's Justice for You Today dot blogspot.com/2011 /12 /. And that's the blog that reveals the disobedience of 9 popes. Now, it's no longer 8 popes, including you, Your Holiness. You're the 9th pope to disobey God since 1929. It's a very serious allegation because the disobedience of 9 popes is responsible for over 3 billion unnecessary deaths from 1929 to 2025. And that's explained in the blog. We are at a crossroads, and facing us from outer space is Atlas. Some call it an asteroid. It's 12 miles wide. It's going 152,000 miles an hour. And the Dow Jones just happened to drop 152 points a few Fridays ago. But Dr. Avi Loeb of Harvard University says it's not an asteroid. It's too big to be an asteroid, and it doesn't have the tail of a comet. And so it's rather that it's a cloaked interstellar vehicle, a mothership of sorts, run by intelligent beings. Keep in mind that God, the Creator, created all intelligent beings in the universe, not only intelligent beings on planet Earth, many of whom are bad. There are many bad men on planet Earth, but that doesn't mean that God is bad. God created all men good, but men and women freely chose to be bad for one reason or another. And in the battle of heaven that was fought over Our Lady, believe it or not, it was the Blessed Virgin Mary that triggered the rebellious cry of Lucifer, the bearer of the light, the highest seraph, closest to God, Lucifer, when he was shown in this test of the angels in heaven who were created in eternity. The angels were created before time existed. I mean, time and space began history. But before that, in eternity, the angels were created, and they were subjected to a test. And the test was they had to pay homage to a human creature, a woman who was going to be the future mother of the future Messiah, who would have come to earth whether Adam and Eve had sinned or not. Jesus would have become incarnate and lived among us. And we would, of course, have been all immortal. But thanks to the original sin of Adam and Eve, we became mortal. We were no longer immortal. Our souls continue being immortal, but our bodies are mortal. So we're capable of dying. We're capable of suffering. And that was unnecessary. If Adam and Eve had not listened to the serpent, imagine, a reptilian, a fallen angel cast on the earth, and some of them are reptilians, and they live underground. They're living beings. They're intelligent living beings, and they're much more intelligent than the most intelligent human being alive, because angels existed before time. And after the battle of heaven, when 1/3 of all the angels were cast out of heaven by St. Michael the Archangel, who happened to be a lower rank archangel, crying out, "Who is like unto God?" instead of the other seraphim and cherubim and thrones, virtues, and powers and principalities and dominations rising up against Lucifer. No, it was an archangel, Saint Michael. Quis ut Deus? Who is like unto God? When you translate "who is like unto God," quis ut Deus, into Hebrew, it's Michael. So Saint Michael said, "Who is like unto God?" He drew 2/3 of the angels of all the hierarchies towards him, and that 1/3 that were drawn, either were drawn totally to Satan's side or were neutral. All the neutral angels, there was a group there called the neutrality angels. They were cast out of heaven too. The real evil angels who committed themselves 100% to Satan, they were hurled down to hell. But these other angels who were not committed 100% to one side or the other, they were neutral, like a Sweden during World War II or Switzerland today. Neutral countries where good and bad characters can come and go as they please without any consequences. Well, these neutral angels, angels of the air or demons of the air, they were flung into the cosmos. This is the battle of heaven apparently happened at the same time that God created time and space. And so when the cosmos was created, including planet Earth and all the galaxies and the trillions of stars that were each assigned an angel, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, each heavenly body has been assigned an angel to guide it. And so we have to imagine that the number of angels are in the trillions. And if you take 1/3 of all the angels that rebelled, and most were cast into hell, but many were cast into the cosmos. Some upon the earth. The ones on the earth are they consist of like reptilians who live underground, who seem to control the government in certain respects, control the UN. This has been documented by close friends to Phil Schneider, who was who was murdered for telling the truth about what's really going on at the Dulce base. The reptilians there who were in a fight with the U.S. Army Rangers. It was a mortal battle many years ago that happened. It's on YouTube. I'm not going to go into it here. Suffice it to say that whistleblowers like Phil Schneider have been murdered because they spoke the truth to the American people. They were revealing the cover-up of the U.S. government. They refuses to tell us anything about UFOs. These are entities. They are realities. And God is all powerful, and He has every right to create life anywhere He pleases. We're not the only show in town. We can't tell God, "Oh, you can't create life in anywhere else. You have to. It's only has to be Earth." No, that's ridiculous. That's a heresy. That's a heresy. So it's very possible that there is there. Not only is there life in other planets and other galaxies, intelligent life, but perhaps they're paying us a visit through Atlas. We should be concerned. I propose that we all convert to the one true religion, which is the one holy Catholic and apostolic religion founded by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ upon St. Peter the Rock, when he said he changed the name of Simon to Peter. Peter means the rock. You are the rock. Upon this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against her. That was a promise that Jesus made to the first pope, St. Peter. And we've had over 200 popes. Many have been good, and a number of them have been bad. And the so-called post-conciliar popes have been bad. And some of them have been canonized, which is a tremendous mystery. How is it possible to canonize somebody who changed the traditional Latin Mass that's over 1,000 years old as far as traditions, and Bishop Antonio de Castramayer from the Campos Diocese, he explained in a text, a radio message that I translated from Portuguese into English for the American Catholic public, that we were informing through Crusade Magazine, an organ of the American Society for the Defense of Tradition Family Property. Bishop Meyer explained that any tradition that is 200 years old or older cannot summarily be canceled or dismissed with. And the Latin Tridentine Mass, the traditional Latin Mass, it goes back over 1,000 years. It goes back to the time of the apostles, some parts of it. That was altered. That was altered by Cardinals Bugnini and a couple of other names that Dr. Taylor Marshall exposes so well in his book that I highly recommend you read, called Infiltration. And all of the articles of Plínio Correia de Oliveira, the founder of the original Tradition Family Property of Brazil, they speak about the inroads of progressivism in the Catholic Church. I'm an ex-seminarian. While I was in a seminary between 1960 and February of 63, the flame went out. I wanted to be a fiery missionary priest working in India to try convert the millions and millions of Indians to the Catholic faith, because I knew in my heart that the Indian people are mystical people. They have a certain level of mysticism that is part of their nature. They are given to mysticism, and imagine if that was Catholic mysticism instead of Oriental or Hinduism and so on, with all these gods that are false, and it's tragic. India should be Catholic. If England had been Catholic when it colonized India in the 19th century, if it had been Catholic and imparted Catholic principles, Catholic missionaries instead of Anglican ones, uh, it would have been a Catholic India that we're dealing with today. And the same thing could be said about other nations conquered by Protestant England. Could go on and on. Uh, I wanted to take this opportunity to remind President Trump that that we appreciate all the efforts that are being made for world peace, but the energy the energy that Europe was buying from Russia is not available anymore to Europe. In other words, the United States has imposed tariffs on countries that buy their energy from Russia, penalizing them for buying uh, oil from Russia, so that they can buy oil from us. And that's not right, Mr. President. I think the Russians, they have a right to export their energy surpluses to Europe, as they were doing, especially to Germany, and Germany is realizing that it's not global warming they have to worry about. They have to worry about what's the global cooling that is quickly going to come upon the whole world. And many of these countries that had access to fuel from Russia, not communist Russia, I'm talking about post-communist Russia under President Vladimir Putin, now they have been blocked. They have to buy American oil, and that's kind of ridiculous, Mr. President. Quite frankly, and I'm a Trumpista. I voted for you 3 times. I mean that, and then your position on Greenland is outrageous. The Greenlanders have every right to decide not to be part of the United States, and so it should be. At any rate, I digress. Today is the first Saturday of the month. I recommend you go to americaneedsfatima.org uh, to read about the message of Fatima, the first Saturday requirements. You can also read about that in the FatimaCenter.com or traditioninaction.org and a number of other Marian organizations. I highly recommend the 11-volume series by Attila Cinque Guimarães, In the Murky Waters of Vatican II. And read that, ponder that series, and then listen to the podcasts of Michael Matt on Remnant TV, and also Dr. Taylor Marshall, and there are several other prominent Catholics, traditionalist Catholics, that should be listened to. And also we should listen especially to the pronouncements and the letters of Archbishop Carlo Vigano, who really knows what's going on, and Bishop Strickland, and also Bishop Schneider. And with that, I think I have to go. I'm overstaying my welcome. As you notice, my miraculous medal is gone. It was teleported. God teleported my miraculous medal on the day of my operation, my cataract operation, September 4. During the operation, when the lights were right on my left eye as the surgeon was going in there and taking out the cataract and replacing it with a lens, I was praying the Fatima prayer. My Jesus, for love of thee, the conversion of sinners and reparation for the offenses committed against the Immaculate Heart of Mary, that I offer this surgery, this sacrifice. And I prayed to St. Lucy, patroness of eyesight, who helped us rescue General James Dozier from the Red Brigades way back in 1982, thanks to my open letter to St. Lucy, which was divulged in the Munich area. It went to all the press. And lo and behold, General James Dozier was found safe and sound 42 days after his captivity, when the Italian police, raided the apartment where he was kept prisoner. I think it was in Padua, and in the process of looking for General Dozier, uncovered all the hidden ammunition depots of the Red Brigades up and down Italy, which marked me. And there was an assassination attempt against my person in Italy, in Vicenza, which I'll someday talk about. It was foiled by the grace of God, because the Red Brigades were on to me. This letter from some character called Arthur Leighton Denchfield III from the U.S. McGraw Concern to a saint, with her picture and relic. This letter got into their hands, and they saw the petition asking God to help, with the intercession of St. Lucy, help the Italian authorities find General James Dozier safe and sound. Notwithstanding the opinion of the base there, all the people said, no, he's dead. His body has been thrown in the lake. Forget about it. No, God told me General Dozier's not dead. Write the letter. So I wrote what I was inspired to write. It was an open letter to St. Lucy, patroness of eyesight, and she came through, and I went and visited her church, St. Jeremiah's Church in Venice, later, and thanked her personally for doing all this wonderful intervention on behalf of General Dozier's rescue. And I have to, and talking about St. Lucy, the only country outside of Italy that pays her the homage that she deserves much more, is the country of Sweden. It's remarkable. St. Lucy's Day. They have this December 13, St. Lucy's Day in Sweden. They have these beautiful songs that are sung in all the cathedrals of Sweden, Swedish and in Latin, and the girls have candles wrapped around their head here, and they walk with long dresses, carrying candles, and it's like heaven on earth. And during the time of the ice, the time of the snow, the time of the cold, this new light in the wintertime, it brings joy to all the Swedes. St. Lucy's Day. You should see the YouTube productions that about St. Lucy's Day in Sweden. The beautiful singing in the different cathedrals. I forget their names, but they're there. And so St. Lucy came through, and what happened to me during this operation for my eye? While during the height of the operation, when the surgeon directed my gaze right into the light, look right into the light, don't let your eye wander. So I looked right into the light, I said these prayers, and then the operation was successful, and I woke up, and the metal was gone. The miraculous metal that I had, everyone saw me wear it. I lay down on the operating table. The doctor came, did what he did. I got up. The metal was gone. No one can find it. And so my conclusion is it was teleported by God to somebody driving a Honda. Since I had a Honda T-shirt on, had Honda, some desperate man or woman behind the wheel in a Honda, maybe in Miami, maybe in Asia, or maybe in Europe or Africa or South America or California, was about to do something he would regret, like maybe run over a mountain or do something bad with his Honda, and that miraculous metal just came in time to save the day for him or her. My miraculous metal, my extra large blue amethyst miraculous metal that you can get from Amazon.com for $19.95. Mine happened to be blessed by a Catholic priest. I had been using it for years. In all my videos, you would see me proudly wearing the miraculous medal that saved millions of lives during World War I and World War II and the Korean War and all the Vietnam War. People who wore the medal with devotion, Our Lady would save their lives, literally. I mean, the numbers are staggering, but we'll only find out about this later in heaven. The true numbers. Anyway, that's about it. I'm getting some things off my chest. This atlas that is coming, I'm assuming it's intergalactic visitors that have a thing to say to us earthlings who dare to contemplate nuclear war. I mean, who dare to think that they have the right to launch ICBMs with multiple warheads that can destroy entire continents with nuclear hydrogen bombs. How outrageous is that? That's so outrageous. And yet, no, we have to defend ourselves because the Soviets, they have it too. And all, now the Soviet Union is no more. But now the nuclear threat has spread. I mean, Israel is a nuclear threat, true threat. And so is India. And so is Pakistan. And so is North Korea. And so is Iran. And so is the United States. And so is Russia. They're all nuclear powers. And they could, any one of those countries could make a mistake, press the wrong button, or see something wrong on the screen. That almost happened a few years ago when a weather satellite was sent out, and the Soviets, they thought that they were under attack from the United States, and it was a new group that took over the radar. They were not informed by the group that they relieved that they had been informed that the Americans are going to launch something that has to do with the weather, but those people who were relieved of their duties and replaced by new people were not informed that this rocket was not a malevolent rocket, and so they almost started World War III right there. That one rocket, that would have been a mistake. And this is the danger of mistakes happening. People, it's the old argument. It's like, and it's like this. You're a homeowner, you have a gun, you know how to use it. I have a license to carry, and I know how to use my gun. But if you, a homeowner, have a family, and you're invaded by a man who has a weapon like a bat or a knife, you have every right to defend your family and yourself from this intruder, especially when he comes into your home. Shoot him or shoot her. Usually it's a him. That's your right. Your gun is your defense against an intruder who comes in with a lesser weapon. If he comes in with a gun, then the threat is even greater. But in the case of a nuclear power, like Russia, for example, which feels that NATO has broken its word time and again, expanding ever eastward, against all the rules and regulations, against the treaties that were made between the United States and Russia years ago, a new administration comes in. Oh, shucks. Oh, those are the guys from the past. That doesn't count. What counts now is what we say. That's wrong. That's wrong. You can't think like that, Mr. President Trump. You have to pay attention to the agreements that were made years ago under President Clinton and some other presidents earlier with Russia concerning NATO's expansion. The fact that Sweden is in NATO now, and so I believe the Baltic states, and there's pressure to get Ukraine into NATO. That's outrageous. Just a point about Zelensky. I don't understand how it's possible for a non-Christian to be a president of a country like Ukraine. A non-Christian who has the name Vladimir. Vladimir Zelensky is not a Christian. I mean, he's a Jew. Jews are normally anti-Christian by definition. Alphonse Ratisbonne was a rabid anti-Catholic Jew who was converted to the Catholic faith in 1842 when he wore the miraculous medal of Our Lady on a dare from his older brother. He wore that medal for 1 month, and he prayed the prayer that was given to him, and mercifully Our Lady appeared to him on the last day of the 30-day dare, and he went on his knees, and he understood that he was totally wrong about everything. And he became a Catholic, and he founded a society for the conversion of the Jews. I believe it's called the Zion Society. That happened in 1842 at Our Lady of the Miracle Church that I visited in Rome in 1982. Our Lady of the Miracle, and that miraculous medal that helped convert the most rabid anti-Catholic Jew around. that he was. He was a very prominent banker, financier, and he became Catholic. And his greatest mission after his conversion was a conversion of his fellow Jews to the truth. The state of Israel. Mr. Ted Cruz, are you listening? Senator from Texas? The state of Israel is not the Israel of the Bible. You understand that? The problem with you, Senator Cruz, is that you're a Protestant. And your dad, he's a wonderful man, but he was brought up in the evangelical belief system, Protestant system in Cuba. And then he came here with his Protestant ideas. And Israel of 1948, that's not the Israel of the Bible. The 1948 Israel, that's the state of Israel of Zionism. We are the new Israel. The people of God, the Christian people are the new Israel of the Bible, not the Israel of the Middle East now. That's a secular state that is Jewish in name. Many of the Jews there are atheists. Almost all of them are anti-Christian. An Israel Defense IDF tank shot at a Catholic church just recently, a few months ago, and IDF soldiers, snipers, have actually killed Catholic women inside Catholic churches in the Palestinian area. This is outrageous. Outrageous. Shame on you, Netanyahu. Shame on you for closing foreign aid to Palestine. Those poor people in Gaza, they are starving, their children are dying, and it's their blood is on your hands. And don't quote the Bible to defend your position, because you don't have a biblical position. The Israel of the Bible, the Israel of the time of David and Solomon and all those great kings and prophets of the Old Testament, that's not the Israel of today. Today's Israel is a secular state, and it's undermining the whole world with its synagogue of Satan, which we have been warned about by St. John the Evangelist in the book of Revelation. The synagogue of Satan, through certain families whose name will remain unmentioned here, but I'm in touch with one of them. We've become pretty good friends. I'm not going to say who. It's a lady. She's a widow, and she was born in Central America, but she's a member of that family, and she's invited me to join Freemasonry, and of course I can't, obviously, and I'm inviting her and her entire family to convert to the Catholic religion in the face of Atlas that is coming. This is the moment of truth. Atlas is the moment of truth, and we can gather together, have a faith summit. I've talked to Copilot about this. Copilot by Microsoft, wonderful invention, Mr. Bill Gates. This Copilot and Grok by Elon Musk are two great AI things that have come along. To Grok's credit, the theory of evolution has been totally disqualified, erased, because the supercomputer Grok has determined that evolution is logically impossible. This is part of communist doctrine. When the communists take over a country, they re-educate us. They teach us that we come from the monkey. Forget about God. God does not exist. Spirit does not exist. Only matter exists. Matter and everything is in a constant state of evolution, change. This is the communist doctrine. And Grok has said, no, evolution can't exist. It's impossible, logically impossible. So Grok has glorified God, the creator, who made all of us, and he knew us before we existed in his mind, in his eternal presence. It's remarkable how some of this technology is actually glorifying God instead of attacking God. And that reminds me of that other story of scientists getting together to talk about the universe. And the American scientists, they were sticking to their guns. It's the theory of evolution. We all evolved from billions of years, this, that, and the other. And the Chinese scientists, who were communists, they said, no, but there's an intelligent design in the universe. And the American scientists, counter to the Chinese communist scientists, Oh, you've been taken in by the American propaganda from those American evangelicals who preach creation and say evolution is impossible, and the Chinese were befuddled. I mean, how is it that you Americans who believe in freedom and all that, and you're spouting evolution, and we who are communists and are supposed to believe that there's no such thing as an intelligent designer, we believe in intelligent design and the design of the universe. In other words, they were just declaring their belief in God, the creator. This came out of the mouths of Chinese communist scientists. And the Americans, shame on them for promoting evolution, which Grok, to Elon Musk's credit, totally unmasked. This country owes Elon Musk a debt of gratitude for buying Twitter when he did. And I like to think that's the third time that America has been saved by an individual. The first time was by Empress Catherine the Great, when those pesky Americans, they were revolting against King George III and the British Empire. And George III sought the alliance of Empress Catherine the Great, who had won a great naval battle against the Ottoman Turks with her great navy at that time. This was back in the 18th century. And she said no. She said no. She would not help George III and give her navy and her Russian troops to the service of fighting the American Revolution. And instead, she passed the Neutrality Act, which actually protected American shipping from the French and shipping from other European nations. Catherine the Great saved America. Russia saved America the first time. The second time, America was saved in the Battle of New Orleans, thanks to the Ursulines, who educated Melinda French Gates. She's been educated by the Ursulines. The Ursulines were asked by General Andrew Jackson to pray for the Americans for a miracle, because the British were about to attack New Orleans, and that was the famous Battle of 1815. The battle between Britain and America started in 1812, the War of 1812. What was the miracle? Well, Bishop Fernando Eisnert, whom I befriended from St. Michael Roman Catholic Church in Miami, he told me the backstory of the triumph of New Orleans. He explained, it was told to him by a historian friend of his in New Orleans, who took him to the battle site of the Battle of New Orleans. And he explained that the British had arrested an American farmer, and for some reason, and they had held him in custody there while they were discussing strategy on how to attack New Orleans. They were going to come in through a way that was totally unexpected by the Americans. And so this American farmer, as soon as he got a chance, he escaped, and he ran all the way to New Orleans and told General Andrew Jackson and the Americans where the British were truly coming from. So the Americans moved all their troops to face the British, and lo and behold, the British attacked and were defeated, thanks to the Ursulines. Okay, that's the second time America has been saved. This time by a religious group whose name comes from Saint Ursula. Saint Ursula. I get choked up, and her 10,000 virgin maidens who followed her from Great Britain. She was a British princess. She came down to Europe, and she was wonderful. I mean, all these people wanted to become Catholic, wanted to become part of her group, and then Attila the Hun showed up, and he wanted to marry Ursula, and he wanted all those 10,000 virgins to marry his men, and St. Ursula said no. And so she and her 10,000 virgins were slaughtered. And St. Ursula became a martyr. Her name is on the count, but her name was removed in 1969 by some. I'm not going to mention it. I know who did it. I mean, if you go to Copilot will tell you who the principal players were in removing St. Ursula, St. Christopher, and St. Valentine from the Catholic calendar in 1969. Before, in an earlier video, I said if I had the power, I would track down the bureaucrat in the Vatican who removed St. Ursula from the calendar, and also St. Valentine and St. Christopher, because that's a supreme insult. Number one, against all those people who call themselves Christopher, including Christopher Columbus, to have St. Christopher removed from the Catholic calendar on a whim, on a post-conciliar whim, supposedly inspired by the Holy Spirit. Come on. St. Valentine, February 14. We still celebrate Valentine's Day with chocolates and roses and all that. St. Valentine, he was a priest, who pastored especially young couples, prepared them for marriage, and he was denounced by the synagogue of Satan to the Roman authorities as a Christian, and so he was martyred for his faith. Saint Valentine, his name was removed from the Catholic calendar. And then you have Saint Ursula. Saint Ursula, whose name inspired the Ursulines, and it was the Ursulines who saved the USA the second time, through their prayers for the Battle of New Orleans. Her name was removed from the Catholic calendar. I wanted to get a hold of that bureaucrat and really shake him up and say, how dare you? How could you do such a thing? Any tradition that is 200 years or older cannot be changed by anybody, not even the Pope. And so for you to on your own, and it wasn't just a bureaucrat, there were some cardinals behind this, and that's revealed in Dr. Taylor Marshall's book, Infiltration. Specifically, the names of the who's who of the bad actors of Vatican Council II. You should know that Dr. Plinio Correa de Vera and 10 of the most prominent members of the Brazilian Society for the Defense of Tradition, Family, Property, they went to Rome during Vatican II to see what was going on. And Bishop Antonio de Castro Mayer from the Campos Diocese was a companion of Dr. Plinio, and he's one of the bishops, I believe Lefebvre was the other one, that asked for the condemnation of communism. And so over 400 bishops, they signed the document for Vatican II to condemn communism. And that document mysteriously vanished on the day that it was supposed to be brought up for discussion. It could not be found. That was a case of bad teleportation, but that wasn't teleported. It was just taken by some progressivist who refused to allow the theme to be discussed, since among the guests at Vatican Council II were a group of Lutherans and other Protestant groups, and the Russian Orthodox religion was invited, and other schismatic religions were invited there. And of course, the thinking of John the 23rd was, you can't condemn communism because if you do that, you insult communist Russia, which is a big country with missiles, and insults the Russian Orthodox Church, and so on and so on and so forth. That's why you have to read In the Murky Waters of Vatican II by Attila Cinque Guimarães. It's very interesting how God takes the name Attila, who was a real mean, bad character a long time ago, and then gives us a new Attila, who's defending Christendom, who defends the truth and Catholic tradition, and is anti-communist, and founds an organization like traditioninaction.org. Attila Cinque Guimarães. I met the man. He was very close to Dr. Plinio Correa de Vera. He was like the most intelligent Brazilian TFP member I had met. And I first met him, ran into him in 1972 when I came to Brazil the first time, along with Tim Allen Reese from California. We were both there at the invitation of TFP. We prepared for the consecration on March 25, 1972. We prepared between 30 and 40 days, reading all the material that was advised us by the True Devotion Treatise of St. Louis de Montfort. And we made the consecration in the present, Dr. Plinio being the master of ceremonies, at the Reign of Mary Hall, wonderfully majestic imperial ambience, and Dr. Plinio Correa de Vera flanked by two royal imperial princes from the royal house of Orleans and Braganza, Prince Don Luis de Orleans and Braganza, and his younger brother, Prince Don Bertrand de Orleans and Braganza, who should really be the Emperor of Brazil right now. He's a great-grandson of Emperor Pedro II, the last Emperor of Brazil. And many Brazilians want Don Bertrand as the Emperor. But no, no, Brazil's got to be a democracy like everything else. Well, you should know. And Mel Gibson's movie, The Passion of the Christ proves this. Democracy executed Christ. You can see it in the Passion of the Christ movie. In that part of the movie where Imperial Rome spokesman Pontius Pilate gives the people the democratic choice to democratically choose between the release of a notorious robber named Barabbas or the innocent Jesus, suspecting, hoping, of course, that the people will democratically elect to release Jesus because they were entitled to one prisoner being released a year. That was their tradition. That didn't happen. He activated democracy when he gave the vote to the people, and the people, with the assistance of the Jerusalem deep state Pharisees, said, release Barabbas, release, and so the people democratically elected to release Barabbas. And then Imperial Rome, speaking through Pontius Pilate, asked the people, what shall we do with Jesus, your king? I believe he said, your king. And then the deep state Jerusalem Pharisees told the people what to say, you know, crucify him, crucify him. And so the people democratically chose the words, crucify him, through, and may his blood be upon us and upon our children. Now, this is outrageous. Now, how is this possible? This happened, and that's democracy, the first ugly face of democracy. You should know that the basis of democracy is not the democracy of Athens, but it's the democracy that condemned and crucified our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And this is a tragedy. With that, I have to go. I've overstayed my welcome. It's way past well, my time, and I just wanted to have those words with you. Today's the first Saturday. Say your rosary. Meditate on the 15 mysteries of the Holy Rosary in accordance with Our Lady of Fatima's request. Go to americaneedsfatima.org for instructions on that, and pray for the church. Leo the 14th is really Francis 2.0, according to Elizabeth Fiore, and I agree with Elizabeth Fiore, who knows a lot about what's going on, and I also agree with Archbishop Carlo Vigano and Mike, Dr. Taylor Marshall, and the Remnant TV, Michael Matt. I visited the Matts in Minnesota in the 1970s with the American CFP, young Michael Matt there, and his family. They were very generous. Anyway, I have to go. Pray the rosary, and pray for me that God let me know who has that miraculous medal. I mean, that the person who owns my medal, got my medal, that he somehow informed me that he got it miraculously. And with that, I have to go.